There's President Trump helping the King of Saudi Arabia, King Salman, open a center to combat and monitor extremism and terrorism. The president also spoke over the weekend to a summit of Arab and Muslim leaders, urging leaders of 50 countries to stop tolerating terrorism.
That means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamic extremism. It means standing together against the murder of innocent Muslims, the oppression of women, the persecution of Jews, and the slaughter of Christians.
Today, the president is in Israel. He's predicted that long elusive peace between Israel and the Palestinians may be easier than anyone thinks. Well, he does call himself the ultimate deal maker. That would be the ultimate deal if it's eluded for decades. Good morning, Dr. Jeff Engel, director of the Center for Presidential History at SMU. The president has told interviewers, "This job is harder than I thought. Who imagined that health care could be this difficult?" But peace in the Middle East, he says, might be easily achievable.
Well, you know, the truth is that he is a person who comes in with very, very little diplomatic baggage. He has no history in the region. He has no relations in the region necessarily. So he might actually be a person who can come in and shake things up and try to address all the issues in the region from a new perspective.
Yeah. And sometimes it might actually be refreshing to have somebody sit across the table from you and say, why is this so tough?
Well, and the truth is that he is actually doing something that's really stepping back from not only the previous administration of Barack Obama, but actually several administrations in a row, and that he is really focusing in the region not only on diplomatically and militarily and strategically isolating Iran, but also on focusing on issues other than human rights.
Right.
Human rights didn't come up in his time in Saudi Arabia. He gave a big speech discussing terrorism, did not use the word freedom once, and actually is telling the regimes around the region that what we care most from you and from our relationship is, will you help us in our fight against our existential crisis, against ISIS? What you do in your own country is your own business.
Right, right. And that the enemy is Islamic extremism and also Iran. And the arms deal that was announced, the president said it was about jobs, jobs, jobs. It's also about keeping Iran at bay with the power of an increased Saudi Arabian military.
Yeah, this is really about isolating Iran and trying to contain Iran, which is really, there's a paradox here in that Iran actually, on the very same day that President Trump was in Saudi Arabia trying to isolate Iran and speaking about engagement being something that doesn't work for Iran, Iranian voters actually went and elected or re-elected their most progressive, moderate candidate for president ever. Right. So there's a sense in which the Iranians are moving towards the international system at the same time that President Trump is continuing to try to isolate them.
Well, and in fairness, Iran is not a good player, even with a more moderate leader.
No, in fact, there's an essence here in which this is where we start talking about Donald Trump going back and trying to do the policies that made America great in the past. One of the policies historically throughout the Cold War was focusing on regimes and our allies that can help us against the bigger threats.
Right.
And not so much worrying about what they did internally. So as long as President Trump continues to believe that Iran is the biggest threat to the region, he's really going to allow our allies to deal with it as they wish. In a sense, this is what Ronald Reagan did in Latin America. Tell our allies that we care about what you do against the bigger threat, communism. What you do in your own country is your own business.
He's in Israel now, but Israel is wary of this arms buildup with Saudi Arabia. They are still not on friendly terms.
No, I mean, the two sides don't have diplomatic relations still. And so it's really uncomfortable whenever there's a large arms deal to an Islamic state. The Israelis are nervous because they recognize that those weapons over history have been used not only against their enemies, but perhaps against themselves as well.
Very quickly, the distraction, this is a huge distraction from the distraction of what's going on with Jim Comey at home and the FBI firing and the Russian investigation.
Yeah, I think the nomination of a special prosecutor is really quite, a special counsel, is really quite astounding because it moves the investigation from trying to find out what happened with Iran into a criminal realm. This is a different kind of investigation than we've had with Russia. I'm sorry, with Russia. This is a different kind of investigation than we've had in the Congress so far. There are 5 investigations in Congress.
Yep.
This one's different.
It's because it's a criminal investigation. Thanks very much. We appreciate it.
Good to see you.